I got into the fentanyl and heroin and stuff, and started overdosing. I had overdosed in my mom and dad's house, and around that point in time, I started actually being able to see the harm that I was causing in my life.
Yeah, like what'd that look like? So we had our little clip thing. Take one. Actually, who are you?
Donnie Carroll.
Hello, Donnie. It's
Hey.
good to meet you, man.
Hello.
For the couple hundredth time. Tell me a little bit about what your addiction was like, maybe in the last 7 days of it, or last week, or the final moments that you found yourself in the throes of it.
Okay, so like, I'd almost have to go to a little bit before that. So I had got mixed up in some fentanyl, heroin, and stuff. And
IV user?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah. IV drug user, like pretty heavy, you know, talking like whenever it goes to progressive, like I went from the smallest to the biggest, you know, over a span of time. But I got into the fentanyl and heroin and stuff, and started overdosing. I had overdosed in my mom and dad's house, and around that point in time, I started actually being able to see the harm that I was causing in my life.
Yeah, like what'd that look like?
Dad Narcaned me back to life. Me coming to, and you know, him crying. My mom was around, and I asked my dad what happened, because I didn't necessarily know, and I was angry at that moment and stuff, and like I was yelling at him, and he was like, "You've overdosed. You were blue, thought you were dead. The police are in the driveway, the ambulance is on the way," right? And the only thing in that moment I can think about was hiding my stuff so the police don't find it, right? And seeing that in my dad, you know, and seeing the harm, and then I made him, you know, pretty much look like a fool, because I told the police officer in the ambulance that they Narcaned me for no reason, and all this and that was the reason I was sick, so on and so forth. And being able to see the pain that I caused them, and starting to understand a little bit of the pain that I was causing my kids and other people around me, because by then I'd done burnt so many bridges. And like, the reason I was even back at my parents' is because like after so long, I knew that they would take me back after the last fight, right?
Yeah.
They would take me back and want the best for me, and regardless whether they knew what direction to take me into to help me, you know, they wanted to. So upon that, you know, I kind of like move across the street into this little house, right? I call it an abandoned house because the landlord never charged any rent or nothing like that. We'd used it for storage, and I'm over here pretty much to go on to the bitter end because I don't know what direction to go in. You know, people give me the advice of just lay it down and quit.
Yeah,
right?
just stop.
I don't know how to do that, because whenever I stop, the thing is I got so many demons in my head, and life is miserable for me. I can't stand it. I can't stand, and at that point, I couldn't stand using the drugs, right? But I couldn't see not using them, right? Only bit of relief I could find.
It's a hard place to be in, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It was miserable. So you look at the last 7 days of me using, man, every time I would use, I would break into this, like, guilt, shame, remorse. I hate me. Who are you? You know, suicidal thoughts, right? The thought of, man, why did I wake up today? You know? Look at all the harm I'm causing. I'm not being of use to anything in this world. I can't call myself a man. Here we are, you know? And it's crazy because you know, I'm a man, right? I can work with my hands well, so on and so forth. And I feel like if this table right here is broken, I can fix it, right? If my car is broken, I can fix it. But there's something broken in me, and I have no clue what to do. And that was troubling, man. Like, in no direction. Every now and then I would research like treatment, but that was usually in those moments when I was so sick and couldn't find anything, because to be honest with you, I was too afraid to go because I didn't know what it looked like.
Yeah.
So
Like what you see in Hollywood or what you see on TV is like a completely different depiction of like what recovery actually is.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And, you know, I kind of thought that, like, you know, I could read on it and, like, oh, 28-day program, you know what I mean? 28 days, I'll be fixed, right? But at the same time, they got me away from the drugs and stuff, but, like, I needed to work on me and, like, this internal struggle that I got going on.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm in this miserable place in my life, and I'm seeing, at that time I could see the harm that I'm causing everybody around me, even with good motives. You know, I want to do right, I want to be a good father, I want to be a good son, I want to be this and that and the other, and I just can't. So a friend of mine that had actually came through treatment and stuff that I used with on the streets, right? She had came back into my life at some point, and she carried a message to me. She was like, and it was very simple.
Well, like face-to-face type deal?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And very simply, I mean, like, and I could see it in her, right? I could see, like, she used like I used, right, in the day, and she had a job, she had a car, she had a smile on her face, you know what I'm saying, and was completely sober, and I'm like, I don't know what that looks like, because to be sober and be smiling at the same time just don't go together for me.
It's kind of like an oxymoron. It's like don't fit, two things that don't fit. Yeah.
Absolutely not. And I mean, just a very simple message was of like, I know people that have, you know, been where you are right now and are happy and sober at the same time, you know, and I'm just over here like, I'm trying to take this TV apart. Can you be quiet? But that stuck in my head, you know, because, you know, I'm at that point to where I don't want to use no more, but I can't see life without the drugs, because that's the only bit of peace I could find. But the time that the peace would last kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter, right? And then I got this idea of like, man, I'm just gonna hit the power button. I'm gonna unplug me from the world, right?
Oh, wow.
And because I don't know how to get this rig out of my arm, you know? And so between going on to the bitter end until I overdose and just don't wake up, to taking my own life, and then, you know, this person gave me a third option, right? She knew people that had been where I've been and done this, and I trusted her because I remember her being on the streets with me. You know, I knew this friendly face, and I knew she wasn't guiding me in the wrong direction. So I go, so, you know, I did a whole probation thing, this and that, going in high as a kite. I promise I'm going to treatment tomorrow, you know? And that happened like 2 times, and he was like, look, Mr. Carroll, if you ain't in treatment or got something done, you're going to jail the next time I see you. So this is like on my probation date, right? And I'm like, what do I do? Do I just run off to treatment and try to beat the system, or do I go into the office? It was a crazy thing, because I get ready and I go up here, headed to his office, and I text him. I'm like, hey man, I'm headed to the office. And it was crazy because he's like, hey man, I'm out of town right now, or I'm out of the office right now. We're gonna have to reschedule. And I'm like, I'm on my way to treatment, you know, because I didn't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
So I called my friend, right, because
She knows what to do.
Yeah, due to certain situations, she got taken back out of my life, right? So I'm back to just me in a room by myself with these thoughts and this misery, right? You know, parents supported me the best way they could. I got brothers that offered to like pay for beds at certain treatment facilities and so on and so forth. But it's almost like they didn't understand me. You don't know what I'm going through. All this and that, man. I got too much. Like, I can quit for a day or two, but dude, I'm miserable. I hate me, and I hate everybody else around me. I can't do that. So I had so much support from the family. They just hadn't been through it, I don't guess, and knew the path to take, right? So I finally buck up and I asked, you know, I'm like, look, I don't know what you did. Take me there, you know? And I came to Kingsport, because I'm originally from Virginia, right? Jonesville, Virginia, Rose Hill, Virginia. And I seen a counselor over there a couple of times, and she had suggested to me Magnolia Ridge. It's a very good place, Donnie. If you really want to try something different, Magnolia Ridge. And I'm like, okay. So I get into this little detox place in Kingsport's Creekside. And that poor case manager. I probably owe her an amends. Anyway, you know, the whole time she's like, Mr. Carroll, I found you a place. You got a bed in Knoxville. And I'm like, I'm not going to Knoxville. I'm going to Magnolia Ridge. I didn't know what Magnolia Ridge was.
Right. But you knew that was somewhere that was the golden ticket.
Yeah, and it'd been highly suggested. I mean, that's the only thing I knew. That's the only thing I'd heard of, right?
Yeah.
And so she'd come back the next day with, Donnie, I can't get you into Mag Ridge right now, but I got you a bed here. And I'm like, I'm not going there. And then she's like, I found you a place in Virginia. I'm not going back to Virginia. I'm sorry. When I left there, I'm not going back, you know. And she worked her tail off, man, and it's like the day before the last day, right? She come in there and she was like, Mr. Carroll, I got you an interview, right? Over the phone, you need to call these people, da-da-da-da. And everything went, you know. I called them and they were like, okay, Mr. Carroll, you ain't got a bed date till the 22nd, right? And I got out there on like the 16th. And they was like, but when you come here, you've already been through detox. You better be clean, right? I didn't know exactly what, abstinence was at that point in time. So, of course, I'm going to drink a few beers, you know, but so on and so forth. So, because, I'm a drug addict.
Yeah.
I think I'm not intravenously using meth, heroin, or Suboxone or anything like that. So I'm like, alcohol's not that problem.
Yeah, but the logic is, I got to use something. So what can I do to bridge the gap between when I get out of detox to when my bed date is?
Yeah. And the alcohol helped relieve a little bit of that, anxiety and stuff, because like as much as a people person as people think I am, I'm fairly shy, and I don't much care to be around big crowds and stuff unless I know them personally.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people. We just don't like to.
And the alcohol helps me with that.
Oh yeah, social lubricant for sure.
Yeah, you give me a couple beers or something like that, and I'm a social butterfly. I can talk to anybody about anything.
Yeah, you become a politician. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, man, I got to on the 22nd, man. I was at Magnolia Ridge, walking in the doors, and I didn't know what to expect. I've been incarcerated multiple times for periods of time, so on and so forth, and none of that ever kept me sober, long term.
Was that your first time at a treatment center?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you show up for 28 days treatment, right? And I'm walking, and obviously don't know anybody. Obviously, fresh off not using any dope, and you already have a disposition to be anxious. What was a point in that or at all, did something click, switch? Was there a moment that you were like, this thing might work?
Oh, absolutely. As I trusted the girl, right, I walked into the treatment facility and I started seeing these men like helping each other. Like right when I walked in, buddy of mine, Scott, love him to death, dude. Like he was the first person that was like, Donnie, over here's the cereal and over here's this and that. And I seen people genuinely trying to help people, and care about people. And then so due to being in there, there's other men from the outside that had graduated the program that come in and talk to us, right? And, through hearing their experiences, right, I'm like, that person did the same stuff I did and did it the same way I did. And how are they doing what they're doing today, man? And that right there sparked a little bit of belief that this thing might be real. This might be the direction I need to go in, and it's on me to follow it, right? And most of the time it was get into sober living, ask for guidance, right? Because I need help. I don't consider where I was at. I don't make the best decisions in the world,
Yeah.
So I need somebody to help me sift through those decisions and make a better one.
Yeah, show me what to do.
Yeah, show me what to do, because I think that's one of the things, I'm a man and I'm very prideful and I don't like asking for help. I feel like I can beat this by myself, and that was one thing that had to be smashed, because I can't do it by myself, because I know no direction.
Yeah, right. Let's just look at our experience. Can we fix it? No. Okay. Can somebody else? Maybe.
Absolutely, man. So I was weighing through the decisions of okay, what way to go from here, because yes, the treatment facility gives us 28 days to stay away from it, so on and so forth, but what do we do on the outside of that, right? because if anything, but my experiences has showed me I think the longest length of time I spent in jail was like 11 months, but I've done a couple 3-month stints before that and for that. So like if just the time away from the drugs would keep me sober, then that should have worked.
Yeah.
Never did it. Never. It wasn't very long after I would get out that I would be right back doing the same things I was doing.
No
right?
doubt. What you said people were telling you to go to ask for guidance and then go to sober living. That was like the two main things people were telling you, urging you to do, and like the guys that had come in, they were like, "That's what I did, and that's what's working." So something, you're like, "Okay, I have a direction. Let's go towards it."
Yeah, absolutely. So I started like weighing options, right? I started looking at like what sober livings were in the area, right? There's Oxford and there's Recovery Resources. I think now there's Freedom House. And, there's multiple ones. So that there's no shortage of options. But at that time it was mainly Oxford and Recovery Resources. So I started like weighing the options and asking people, right? Because there's no dumb question. Only dumb questions, the one that don't get asked.
Yeah.
Right? It never gets an answer. So I started asking people, and like, so me being the manipulator that I am, and so on and so forth, and like, if you give me an inch, I'm gonna take a mile. Like, I need somebody that's like, no, Donnie, this is the way we go. If you want to live this life, right? You want this. This is the way we go, right? So, due to asking people this and that, Recovery Resources was more structured, right? And so I chose that. I put in the application, man, and it wasn't long after that Tabitha came and did an interview, and I remember part of her conversation is like, I got good energy, right? All my energy in my life has been, for the past, 5-6 years, like hardcore, right? Because my addiction goes back further than that. But the last month, like all my energy was exhausted into just digging my hole deeper and deeper and deeper. And I just needed, I said, I just don't know what direction to go. I need guidance, So it wasn't long after that, on my out date, April 19th of 22, Craig come pick me up, and we headed off to the Lawson house.
Yeah. Shout out Lawson.
Shout out Lawson house.
Yeah. R.I.P. Yeah, man. That's my buddy. April 19th, 2022. And then it's like a little over 2 years from that point right now. You've graduated, completed Recovery Resources Sober Living program, the programming part of it, right? Which, I mean, there is a programming, but I mean, obviously people can stay as long as need be, but you've got your own place.
Yes.
Yeah. You've got a job. You've been working pretty consistently. You're doing things in life. You seem to have some color back in your skin. You haven't been hiding out in the abandoned house shooting dope. And all of it, obviously, we would be remiss if we were to say that all of this is attributed to Recovery Resources, because that's not what we're trying to get across here. But I am interested, just based off of your experience, what is it that Recovery Resources provided, helped you build, whatever? How was it beneficial to you in your recovery?
There's a lot of ways, man. So first off, having a clean and sober place to live at, right? They gave me a home with very like-minded people, right? We're here to help each other live clean and sober lives, right? The structure involved in Recovery Resources, right? It's been a long time since I've ever done a chore, right? And like whenever it's your own house, it ain't a chore. You got to do dishes. Yeah. You got to wash laundry. You got to do these things, So they were teaching me, because I haven't lived sober, and I use this quite often whenever I speak. It's like I ain't lived sober in, the better part of 15 years, like completely sober at all. So I don't know how, the last.
No shame in that.
No, it's just that's life, So I need somebody to teach me how to do these things. I haven't been able to consistently show up for work in a long time, like I could always show up for a month or so and work hard, because I'm a fairly hard worker, I feel like, and But like, where does the consistency show up at? It should carry on after that month, right? And they taught me how to be consistent, right, and show up for others as well. One thing that I loved about Recovery Resources is like they would celebrate with me on my achievements, right? Pat me on my back. Good job, Donnie. What's next? What are we doing next? Because they believed in me way more than I could ever believed in myself, right? And
yeah.
they seen more in me than I could see.
They put it in you, like, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's not like like a parent or something tell you, oh, so much wasted potential. You got so much potential. What are you doing? But it's like a curious way of saying what's next, in the sense that we know something else is coming, and we're excited about seeing what that is for you.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful, man. And they always say, you know, you know, we want to help you be the best you can be, man. And they just kind of were like, hey, man, let's see what's next. You know, we want to celebrate with it. And also, man, they like when so to say bad things would happen in my life, they're like, Donnie, you know, we're here for you. What do you need from us, right? Because that's one question I always loved, like hearing, you know, what. And the beautiful thing is, like I know they understand me, right? Through talking with Craig or Tabitha or Scott, any of the people associated with Recovery Resources, right? I know they understand me. I know they understand where I've been. And I can follow direction from somebody like that, right? Because I've talked to therapists and other things like that, but I'm sorry, but there's almost already a wall up, right? Because if you've never had cotton fever, you've never detoxed and
You've never been sent into precipitated withdrawal.
Yeah, you've never been through those things. Like
you never put yourself in withdrawal. Yeah.
Don't think that you can understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Well, you don't have the experience to know like what it is we're dealing with, right?
Yeah. And so there was always a wall up there because I'm just like, hey, you just don't understand this. And I knew they did, right? And I knew that they had been where I've been, right? And were trying to lead me toward a better direction, right? And
do you have maybe like a favorite memory associated with your time? I'm sure you have a few, but like any one in particular, me asking you that stands out,
like
of being there at Recovery. Yeah.
Resources. Ooh. So, I guess it would have been around Christmas time in 23, right? There was a mandatory Christmas party, right? I got invited to go to Ohio and stay at my kid's mother and her husband's house to be with my kids, right? And I go, and I'm scared to death, right? To ask them, because I know this place is this mandatory Christmas party and this and that, man. And I go to them scared to death, and I'm like, and emotional, right? And I'm like, Craig, Tabitha, I have an opportunity to be with my kids at Christmas time. I understand this Christmas party is here. And they kind of almost cut me off. They were like, all right, you're going. What do you need from us? And I'm like, oh my God. And I got to spend Christmas with my kids in that moment because they helped me. You know what I'm saying? Like they did the things, man. They've supported me so much through everything.
And today, you see your kids quite often, I hear.
Yes, it's getting better and better every year, man. Every year. I just had them. They came down and stayed with me for 3 weeks, you know. And I know that don't seem like much, but that's a lot from the nothing that it was.
Oh, absolutely.
Prior, right?
Yeah.
And it was a week last year. You know what I'm saying? And like I got to spend a little time around Christmas with them. I got to hunt Easter eggs with them this year. Like the things, man. Like very simple, beautiful things.
What are you most excited for in your life today?
What am I most excited for in my life? Ooh, not so most excited for in my life, like the things that go on. For some reason, that brings the thought to mind of like something I've been trying to practice, like what's a successful day? What's a successful life look like, right? And I was thinking the other day, and it's like, you know, let's not set the bar too high, but but I feel like, dude, if I can have a positive effect on one person's life throughout my day, that's a successful life, and that just excites the shit out of me. You know? Like, I think that is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like that kind of comes from the programs, like helping other people, you know.
It has to. But it's like with a motto like that, it's like you get to the point of you stack enough of those days up. Maybe I leave more good in life than I took out. Bad, you know.
Yeah, I caused a lot of chaos, man, in my life, you know, and yeah.
That's what we do. Donnie, this has been, and I know you got more to say, and I could listen to you go on and on and on. Our battery's about to die in the camera.
Yeah, that's what we gotta do.
I'd love, this has been so long overdue. I love you so much, and thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
Dude. My God.